better than your currency. Splurging millions, buying houses like Monopoly. Fucking 9 to 5, man, the money is a joke to me. Buying cryptocurrency, my money in the privacy. I make it rain dollars, they watch me disappear. I'm so fly, man, I'ma need some land again.
Hey guys and girls, welcome to this week's episode of the No BS with Birchy podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Birch, and this is a show unraveling the truth to the facade of the 21st century. We're now exiting the matrix and waking up to motherfucking reality. I have said that now. This is the 100th time I've said it. There's lots of bloopers and times where I've had to redo the intro and stuff like that. But this is the 100th episode this week, guys and girls. So I just wanted to talk a bit about, the show and what we've been doing and cool things we've covered across and cool things we want to do and all that sort of stuff today. But firstly, I just want to take a chance to thank everyone for letting me into your home or into your personal space over the course of the last 100 episodes. So it's probably 2.5 years ago that we started the No BS with Birchy podcast. I want to do a special thanks and a shout out to Carolyn, who helped us, start the podcast and to be the drive behind this. So just a little shout out there to Carolyn. She wasn't expecting me to say that, and she's probably going to be like, being all humble like she is. So a little bit behind, why we started the podcast. Lots of people doing podcasts out there, but there's lots of people out there talking in the property space and they're talking about certain things. And I think over the years, as we've grown the company B.Invested and as we've grown our brands in different industries and as we've grown as a community, the more I think success that we've created, the more adventurous that we've been with some of the topics that we've talked about, and talking about real things. Sometimes they're controversial, I get it. Sometimes I piss people off with some of the things I say, I get it. I don't mean to offend people. A lot of the things I say is just facts and the way that it's seen in the world. And I think a lot of people are very politically correct out there in the marketplace, and there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of fake stuff when it comes to education people are being fed. I think there's a lot of fake things that are out there when they go to our idols that we look at on any of the media that we look at. I think that there's a lot of it's rare to find raw content with real facts that you can take knowledge from and apply it to your own life on that day. So that's, I guess, the whole concept behind why we wanted to have it the No BS with Birchy podcast. One of the funniest things I remember when we first started the podcast is it went up onto all the platforms and everyone sending it to me says Knobs with Birchy, because it says NOBS with Birchy, and when you put it into the browser or however you guys watch it, it says Knobs with Birchy. So it sounds pretty funny, but we can't change it now. With it, we've covered off on a lot over the last 2.5 years, and lots of cool things that we want to do and some big things that are planned for us moving forward. But it's been a really cool journey. I've enjoyed, seeing the feedback and talking to you guys and girls that are, coming in, that have been listening to the podcast, have gained knowledge, a whole pile of people that I never had exposure to beforehand. And I guess this is the year's 2023. We've been, as a business, this is our 14th year in business. 14 years ago, there wasn't anyone out there on YouTube. I was one of the first people on YouTube talking about financial services. I used to carry a JVC camcorder around, a big camera, and stick it to the window of my car and go to really adventurous areas like housing commission areas and very, very rough areas where they'll throw rocks at your car as you're driving through and stuff like that. And I started making those videos, and it was probably a little bit later into the game when it came to podcasts, but I want to make sure that we've got something that's very different. And in the world, in the last 2.5 years, we've seen lockdowns, we've seen, all these crazy things happening out there with, restrictions on people's life, and it's a very different world that we're in. So being no bullshit, we just say things as they are, as we see it. Ultimately, we look for personal liberty and freedom for all our community members. I want to make sure that everyone's living the life that they want, living life on their terms. When it comes to being able to live at your truest and purest self, you don't want to be controlled by anything. And I think, unfortunately, the system's designed where everyone is controlled by going to a 12-year indoctrination camp being programmed from all their peers, from the shops that are around you, big multinational companies, being programmed from the media, being programmed from the minute that we're born to fit into society, just to fit in. And if you can remove yourself from the need to care, like I might come across a bit rough, and I've got lots of peers out there that would be in the property space. They'd be like, Birchy might be a bit, unorthodox with the things he says, but I don't care, right? If I lose someone from not wanting to listen to us, that's okay as well, because I'm going to be my truest and best value person that I can be as a human being. And I can't be that if I'm focusing on how to make money out of people, or if I'm working on how to fit into a job or fit into a system, or trying to be a consumeristic product and a consumer of consumeristic products. It ain't going to be able to make me the truest version of myself. So I say things as they are. I encourage everyone out there to be living their life on their best terms and to be able to be in control of that. And ultimately, it all gravitates around why I started the business, which is I live life on my terms, and I've built, financial freedom. Our new slogan is financial freedom faster. I was able to get there at the age of 24. And when I had enough income not to have to be tied to a job, the whole paradigm changed. It was like the matrix was breaking down for me. And, a lot of people talk about the matrix nowadays, but, I talked about it. I wrote a book called Exit the Matrix going back like 10 years ago. I've been talking about escaping the matrix for like 14 years across the whole part of the business and the growth cycle of the business. Just want to help people escape from it. If you can remove the need from finances, people are slaves in the world because of money. And if you can take the need away from that, then you can live your best life. So whatever that is for you, if it's traveling, if it's partying, if it's spending time with your family, doing humanitarian tasks, looking after people for charities, or doing good deeds out there, all those sorts of things, whatever's important to you, you should be doing that shit and, living the life of your best purpose. We get, if we're lucky, 80 summers, 80 winters, 80 springs, 80 autumns. If we're giving a good life of health and no problems around, it's 80 years, right? If you're 40 years watching this, you're halfway through it. The last 20 years on the tail end of that, you waste the first 20 years of your life finding your ground. You waste the last 20 years of your life just trying to, survive. It's those 40 years that are in the middle, which is really, really important to make sure you enjoy and all that. I guess, heading into the second half of that at this point. And when I first started this business, I was at the first stage of that. And, just make sure you're living your best life. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about today. But most importantly, I want to talk about you guys, the community, those that are listening and watching in every week. So I'm going through some of the things that we have talked about, touched on. I've got some lists here. Recessions make millionaires. We're going through a recession. We're going through some very controversial times. I quit my job in the middle of the GFC. It was the biggest recession anyone had seen, especially in my life, in my generation, and no one had seen it since the early 1990s, and before that it was the 1970s. I guess we're fortunate that we're going through a time of economic instability, political instability, spiritual warfare. There's lots of things that are happening out there, and we've been on that journey for the last 100 episodes, unboxing and bringing on guests that have brought different elements to whether they're someone in the property space or someone from out of the property space, whether you're looking at people that talk about precious metals, people that are talking about the demographics of the country and what the future will look like in the future, whether you're looking at people that are experts when it comes to finance or property management or whatever it is. We've had some really cool discussions. So some of the things I've just gone through here: recessions make millionaires, how to survive an economic winter, right? Who would have thought what an economic winter was before we started talking about this? 3 million is the new 1 million, right? We talked about inflation before inflation was cool, or no anyone even knew what inflation was going to come to them with. Looking at different strategies when it comes to property, looking at exit strategies when it comes to your portfolio. A lot of people think about accumulating wealth, but they don't know how to crystallize that or liquidify it. Looking at all things property over the years, looking at how to take care of yourself outside of the system, how to escape the matrix, how to be self-sufficient, the importance of having access to water, electricity, food, right? And I read something the other day, $10.90 for a punnet of strawberries from Coles, right? If you took a DeLorean back 5 years ago or 3 years ago and went with Marty McFly and went to Coles and said, hey, 2 packets of strawberries for $3 and said these will be $10.99, someone would have said you're on drugs, right? They're now $10.90 a packet. Inflation is playing a big role, and you need to be prepared to be able to succeed in this world. If you can't get access to food, if you can't get access to shelter, if you can't get access to other sort of things, it will make a very, tough and hard life for you. So you want to have, control on that. It's a matter of options. Looked at the fact that we're in the World War III. We've gone through most of the scandemic together watching this. If you watch from episode 1 to episode 100, I've been looking at how to build a property portfolio, how to exit the matrix, how to live life on your terms, what a depression looks like, different types of asset classes out there. I've pulled on guests, I've pulled on people that have come in from other countries that have used my property strategy, right? I got one guy, I saw him in the news one day, and he's come to us and asked questions and all that over the years. His name's Jonathan. A lot of people really resonated with. He's 26 years old with 50 properties, right? People think it's impossible to do that. This guy took a strategy, a humble strategy that I had 20 years ago, was able to share with everyone 14 years ago, and over the last 7 years, he's been able to adapt that, not here even in Australia, but in a more challenging climate in New Zealand without, the full-on support and guidance. And he's been able to kick ass with these goals, which is really cool. And we've been able to get him on. Talked about different strategies, different ways people can get started into investing. I know single-handedly from just this, like there's every week the podcast comes out, there's couple of thousand people that watch it, download it, share it with their friends and all that sort of stuff, which is cool. I don't know what other ones do. I'm sure that there's lots of other people that watch more podcasts than what they do with us, and one of our goals is to grow that. So I'm going to selflessly ask you to share and write a review wherever you're listening to this from, and share it with your friends and family, and try and get the word out there if you do like the content that we're putting out there. Been looking at so many different elements that contribute to our the Ponzi scheme of life that we are sort of born into, in the matrix that we are. So yeah, it's been great the last 2.5 years. I expect to continue doing these podcasts and sharing them with you on a weekly basis. Maybe we'll even ramp them up in the future, who knows. As we were just recording this, we've had challenges, right? There's been lots of challenges over the last couple of years. We've got hundreds of staff in the B.Invested group of companies, and we've got 2 offices in our building, and there's like 50 staff here, there's like 30 staff upstairs. I've been kicked out of what we used to use, the podcast studio upstairs. It's a room. Used to say, shh, everyone be quiet, right? So I'm down in one of our boardrooms filming this. I can hear phones go in the background, interruptions, distractions, all that. Moving forward, we've designed an actual TV set, studio style setup. I've got a wall of TVs behind me. We've got desks, we've got tables, we've got news desks, we've got couches, we've got neon sign walls. We've got lots of cool things coming in there. Final touches, it's all built. I built it from scratch, the whole building for it. But just there's a flooring issue, and I wanted to make sure that the sound quality is amazing. We've got really good tech. I've got new microphones and new speakers and all that, not speakers, just microphones and gadgets to make sure that this is a dream. So we've got very good editing for these podcasts. Moving forward, I've got some really good guests lined up, some international guests, some people that I really respect. People ask me quite often, Nathan, who are the mentors that got you started? Who are the mentors that are out there that you've looked at? And for me, I never really had any mentors to get started. I just did what I needed to do, and I found answers from out of necessity and out of a need. But nowadays, when I look at how to pivot, how to move, how to change, how to grow, I see that there's lots of other cool people around the world that look at things from a different set of eyes. So there's financial analysis. Like, I don't like financial planners, financial advisors. I don't look at those guys. I don't look at the people that say go buy shares, or the people that are in the system, so call it. But I like seeing people that do a lot of research and are very academic around topics that I'm excited by. So looking at inflation, looking at what's happening with manipulation of currencies and monetary supplies and supply chains and all different stuff out there around the world. And I'm very fortunate. I've got some new guests that are coming in that are international, which I've been watching myself on YouTube for quite some while, and I'll be getting them on the show in the coming weeks and months. So stay tuned for that. I've actually shared a lot of these people into Birch feed beforehand. Once again, if you are a subscriber and you watch this every week and you're listening to this free podcast that I put out, this is just stuff that I put as thoughts in my head. I share with you really good golden nuggets I hope to deliver to you guys that you can't really find anywhere else. I actually share a lot of the resources of where I look at my data nowadays. Like, it's in Birch feed, which if you're not on Birch feed, it's free. I'm not even asking you to spend a cent on it. You just got to go and register and subscribe so you can get access to. I might send 5 articles in one day and nothing for 2 days, and I'll send a video link and some commentary attached to it, just of my thoughts of things that are happening out there. So looking at that, lots of content that I try to put out. I want to be guided by you guys in the community. I appreciate that you want to listen. If we can grow our audience, I want us to be the largest when it comes to self-help, self-development, and financial platform in Australia. I've seen some of the reviews here, which we've got on our podcast. So it says here, I look forward to this podcast every week. It seriously is no BS with Birchy. Nathan tells it like he sees it. He's authentic, real, honest, and entertaining. He speaks from experience and has in-depth knowledge on everything from investing, finance, real estate, you name it. I recommend you have a listen, but be careful, they're addictive. So thank you for that. Finally, an expert who understands central bank. Birch is the only property investor I've ever heard of who actually gets the central bank manipulation and corruption and his profound effects on assets and inflation. He is also the wealthiest and youngest investor in the property I've ever come across. Doubt that's a coincidence. I look forward to each new release because that man seriously is a real deal. It says here, a real guy with lots of assets. It says here, Nathan, it's Tanya. I went to school with you. So someone I went to school with has been listening. You're all over it. I'm not saying it because we know each other. It's because I listened to hours of your podcast, webinars, etc. And what you're saying makes no sense. Not just on the investing side of things. You're awake to all of it. And it's so refreshing. Thanks for saying it. I've contacted you often to help me and head down a different path and have a phone appointment with one of you guys next week. Thanks for the valuable information you share. So I really appreciate the feedback and thanks for that. Thanks, Tanya, for your comment. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Andrea, for your comments as well. Looking at the information that I like to share out there, yes, I know sometimes it sounds weird and wacky. I have seen the depths of how dark and dirty that control platform and mechanism is, right? Someone saw a video recently of me posted online. It was me on mainstream media in the morning, right? And they go, wow, Birchy on mainstream media, right? This is going to be fun. And it's not fun, right? I've been on TV over 100 times, right? I used to co-host TV shows and different things that have been invited on as guests for, and there's been documentaries done on me, all on mainstream media, Channel 7, 10, 9, ABC, all of that. And I don't believe that I've ever had a chance ever to tell people how to make wealth when it comes to property investing. So if you want to know why I'm so anti-system and anti-certain things, it's because when you go on mainstream media, they have an agenda and they have to do an agenda based on their viewers and what they want to spark controversy over. And it's not the people that are there hosting the show. When you see those news hosts, they don't get to host the show and tell anything. They're reading from a teleprompter. The teleprompter's there saying, what to say. It's like, who's scripting this? Who's putting this agenda, the narrative in? There's hate, divide, conquer when it comes to different countries, different political things, and you look at that and you really start digging deep, and you can tell that this system, No one gets to sit on TV and say, this is how to make money. I've given countless hours, tens of hours, hundreds of hours of interviews on how to make money, how to become successful, how to take my blueprints and make like tens of millions of dollars for themselves, but it doesn't air, right? Because it's not in line with the agenda. I've felt them put in political agendas, talk about negative gearing, talk about political parties, talk about different things that are happening out there for baby boomers and stuff like that. But I've never heard the real truth of why everybody's being robbed. And that is why I'm so wild and so out there, because I don't give a fuck, right? No one's going to buy me. Nothing someone can say to me is going to make me more wealthier. Nothing someone's going to buy from me is going to make me, change the way of how I say things, because I've made my wealth in investing. I've made my wealth through all the things that I do. And I'm very happy with that because I've done a fantastic job. And I don't have a puppet master, right? Unlike all these other guys and girls out there, they have a puppet master, whether it's their community that they're puppeted by, or whether it's via their funders or those that have put them in power in their position. So that's why I just say it as it is. So one of my goals is to grow this platform. So if you could share it with your friends and family, if you could leave us some more comments and reviews. The reviews, I believe, help us get more traction and get us more, airtime and whatnot. So if you could smash up a like, write a review for us. Tell us in the review what you do like that we've put out there and things that you would like to see from me on the podcast, and I'll make sure that I get those things out there. Without you guys giving me direction, I can sit here all day and talk about crazy things. I want to know from you guys what you want from me to be able to make this more productive for all of our time. So thanks a lot for 100 episodes. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. You can find us every week on Google Play, Apple Play, Spotify, and on YouTube. Be safe, guys. Be awesome. Keep kicking ass with your goals and live life on your terms. And if you need to reach financial freedom faster, call us at B.Invested. Bye for now.
Like Bilal said, man, we're stuck in the matrix. This my advice, don't care if you take it. The dollar back to die, soon to be hyperinflated. This my 2 cents, don't care if you save it. Join be decentralized and you will see you been lied to the whole time, and it's the irony, cause they do the exact opposite. You become a slave to the system, enough your money, all they do is profit. There's no conspiracy theory, you better hear me. Crypto will set you free before the system does. I don't care if you do or you don't, but what I'm saying is the truth to the reason you choke. I've never been a failure, excuse my behavior. Keep talking, haters doing me a favor. And you're telling lies, I know what they been telling you. I'm the opposite, the Donald Trump of Australia. It's amazing, here for the taking, my time is never waiting.